Association with MTN.
For sailors worldwide, this place is paradise. This month of mainsail, we're in the British Virgin Islands.
I spend time with one of the planet's most recognised faces who's made his home here. Sailing with Sir Richard Branson and going to his idyllic island, Necker.
This is great! And actress Kate Winslet agreed to do something she's never tried before.
Mainsail, next, only on CNN, in association with Rolex.
Go beyond borders.
Das ist CNN.
With my special guest, Larry Flynt. Now, Larry, this book, One Nation Under Sex, is subtitled How the Private Lives of Presidents, First Ladies and Their Lovers Changed the Course of American History. And you're probably the perfect guy to have written this book, but what have you unearthed? What have you found from your study of presidents' sex lives?
First of all, when I decided I was going to do this book, I reached out for my friend David Eisenbach with Columbia University because he's a history professor. And I know nobody would want to read a history book written by a pornographer. So David's extremely bright and quite familiar with the content. And we knew that presidencies were always affected by first ladies, mistresses, lovers, you know, and so we just went to work on it. Some of this stuff has been in print, very little of it, you know. I mean, most of it was unearthed by us.
What were the most shocking discoveries, would you say?
Well, one thing that nobody knows, their youngest first lady was 19. She was Grover Cleveland's wife. She was actually the nanny, and while he was campaigning for president, his wife died, so he married the nanny and moved into the White House. Now, what does that mean, culturally speaking? Today, we would not accept an 18 or 19-year-old girl as first lady. I mean, in America.
Who was the most sexually promiscuous president, would you say?
They're tossed up between Warren Harding and John Kennedy.
I mean, the theory about John Kennedy is that had he not been assassinated, that within a year or two, so much stuff would have come out about his life that he would have been discredited. Do you go along with that?
That's probably true. See, I grew up during the period of the Kennedy mystique, and it's that time when everybody loved their country, everybody was patriotic, everybody felt you could accomplish whatever you wanted to, and Kennedy was the feel-good president. And so when his penchant was for the Hollywood starlets like Marilyn, Angie Dickinson, and Candy Bergen, Marlene Dietrich, you know, people like this. So, and his wife, even while he was alive before he died, she started having affairs too. So these affairs were very careless and reckless.
I always find it odd that someone like you can have built a billion-dollar empire out of pretty hardcore sex in a country that can be so puritanical about the sex lives of politicians. I mean, if you look at someone like Bill Clinton, for example, he's one of the most popular presidents ever. And yet he was a pretty naughty boy, wasn't he?
Yeah, but see,
where's the consistency of this puritanical?
Clinton is what you refer to as the lovable rogue. Even from the time Jennifer Flowers first came out with her accusations, everybody knew it was true. And in the end, during his trial in the Senate, he did lie about, you know, having sex with that girl and what have you. But Clinton always wore it on his sleeve. He didn't hide it like many of the conservative Republicans do. So the nation was able to forgive him.
Are you still investigating the sex lives of Republicans?
Every year we run an ad in the Washington Post. It costs $85,000 to try to get as much dirt as we can on, because that's the only way I can affect politics. Otherwise, all I got is one vote. You know.
But what makes you so confident that the Republicans that you're going to be exposing are any better or worse than their Democratic rivals?
Well, we will expose anybody with a Democratic Republican. We're an equal opportunity offender. But
yeah, but Larry, how can you honestly, if I'm playing devil's advocate, how can you have the gall to expose other people for their sex lives, given the way you built your business?
I'm not exposing their sex life. It's the hypocrisy. Like when I exposed the Speaker of the House, Livingston, during the Clinton impeachment, when he was wanting Clinton's head on a platter, and he's seeing 3 women enter his office, a federal judge, and also a lobbyist on Capitol Hill. And, he was denying all of this. So when we busted him, he did an interview with me.
But they have to be hypocritical, in your view. They have to be made...
Hypocritical. When he was doing an interview with the New York Times, they asked him what he thought about me, and he says, I think Larry Flynt is a bottom feeder. So they called me for a comment, and I said, yeah, that's right, but look what I found when I got down there. So that's what we do. We try to get down in the mud with them and let people know that they're human.
Have you got any big scandals that you've got up your sleeve for the next election campaign?
We're constantly working at least a half a dozen or so investigations in both the Senate and the House. You never know what's going to materialize, but we always hope something will.
But they'd all be Republicans, though, would they?
Most of them are Republican, and it's only because they make it easy for us. They got so much baggage. That guy we got in Louisiana, Venter, he's in the Senate. He's the abstinence guy. That's what he was promoting. But he was seeing hookers in both Washington, D.C. and
for argument's sake, if you got a story about President Obama, a sex scandal about him, would you feel it was right to publish that, given the obvious damage that would do to the country and its reputation?
I wouldn't want to, but I would.
You would?
Because it would be very hypocritical of me not to.
Finally, one of the most fascinating things about you, Larry, is that you were nearly assassinated yourself. No one's ever been quite sure who by. I know there's a name that was put in the frame, and you're pretty certain it was that person, but never brought to justice over it. It left you partially paralyzed.
Yeah.
What do you feel when you look back on what happened to you that day?
I don't look
what do you feel about it? You feel bitter about it?
I don't look at it as who shot me, but rather what shot me. It's the mentality of a person that wants to shoot you because they disagree with what you're doing or they disagree with your politics. This guy was a racist, white racist, who was upset over a black and white photo feature we'd ran in the magazine, and that's really why he shot me.
It was an interracial photo shoot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But how's it affected your life? Obviously, physically it has, but has it affected you in your spirit, do you think?
People always ask me, what's it like being in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
If you hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't even thought about it.
Really?
I don't spend my life dwelling on anything I can't do nothing about. So I don't never think about I'm in a wheelchair until somebody mentions it.
How would you like to be remembered?
As someone who fought to expand the parameters of free speech in a very good way.
Well, that's a pretty laudable way to be remembered, I'd say. Larry Flynt, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up, a true life story of childhood trauma and shocking violence. How one woman says she found freedom behind bars.
Your world up to the minute with CNN's Hala Karani. When we know it, you'll know it. International Desk, tonight, only on CNN.
For sailors worldwide, this place is paradise. This month on Mainsail, we're in the British Virgin Islands.
I spend time with one of the planet's most recognised faces who's made his home here. Sailing with Sir Richard Branson and going to his idyllic island, Necker.